Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back. And also welcome to the September 6, 2022 regular meeting of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. President. Supervisor Chan. Chan present. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey present. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman present. Supervisor Marr.
Present.
Marr present. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar present. Supervisor Peskin. Peskin present. Supervisor Preston.
Present.
Preston present. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan present. Supervisor Safai. Safai not present. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie present. And Supervisor Walton.
Present.
Walton present. Mr. President, do you have a quorum?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors acknowledges that we are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of this land, and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this place, as well as for all people who reside in their traditional territory. As guests, we recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush Ohlone community, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Colleagues, please stand with me to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On behalf of the board, I would like to acknowledge the staff at SF-Gov TV. Today we have Tom Loftus and Michael Baltazar, who record each of our meetings and make the transcripts available to the public online. Madam Clerk, do we have any communications this afternoon?
Yes, Mr. President. The Board of Supervisors welcomes the public to the Legislative Chamber here in room 250 in City Hall to advise the board in person or to just listen to the proceedings. The meeting is airing live on SFGOV TV's award-winning Channel 26, or you may view the computer live stream at www.sfgovtv.org. Additionally, participating remotely is possible via the telephone call-in system. Best practices are to call in early from a quiet location, and once it is your turn to speak, just make sure that you turn the computer or the television sound down to avoid feedback in your ear with the phone. The board will prioritize hearing testimony or comments from those who attend in person. Thereafter, the board will hear from those who called into the remote system. Please note that the remote system, once it's open per item and is then closed, it will not be reopened. Throughout the meeting, the telephone number is streaming on your screen. It is 415-655-0001, and when you hear the system prompt, enter the meeting ID 2493-630-8747. Press the pound symbol twice. You'll know you have joined the meeting once you hear the discussion. However, your line will be muted. And once you are ready to provide your comment, that's when you should press *3 to add yourself to the speaker's queue, and the system will prompt you that you have been unmuted, and then you should just begin speaking your comments. Today, the only agenda content that is eligible for comment is during general public comment. Once item 23 is called, that is when you may speak to the minutes. We do have 5 sets, as the President will convey to you in a moment. Those minutes will not be approved until after general public comment is concluded. Items 24 through 28, those are the items for consideration on the adoption without committee reference calendar, and other general matters that are not on today's agenda but are within the board's subject matter jurisdiction. All other agenda content will have been reported out to the board by an appropriate committee where the public comment requirement had been fulfilled. Communication with the board is still possible. You can send your written correspondence by U.S. mail to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, the number 1 Dr. Carlton B. Goodlett Place, City Hall, room 244, here in San Francisco, California, 94102, or you can send an email using the email address bos@sfgov.org. In a great partnership with the Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs, interpreters will be present during general public comment to assist and provide the access information to this remote meeting in language. And finally, if you have any questions on how to access this board meeting, please call the clerk's office at 415-554-5184. Thank you, Mr. President. Members, that concludes my communication.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. And colleagues, just a friendly reminder, please to mute your your microphones when you are not speaking. We are now going to approval of minutes, and today we are approving the meeting minutes from the June 28th, July 12th, July 19th, 2022 regular board meeting, and June 27th, 2022, and the special meeting minutes at the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and the June 29th, 2022 special meeting minutes at the Rules Committee, which constituted quorums of the Board of Supervisors. I don't see anyone on the roster. I will entertain a motion to approve, made by Supervisor Ronan and seconded by Supervisor Mandelman. Madam Clerk, on the motion.
On the minutes as presented, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Without objection, the minutes will be approved after public comment as presented. Madam Clerk, let's go to our consent agenda, items 1 through 11.
Items 1 through 11 are listed under the consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine, so there will be no separate discussion unless a member of the board so requests, in which event the matter shall be removed and considered as a separate item. Otherwise, items 1 through 11 will be acted upon by a single roll call vote of the board.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. I don't see anyone on the roster. Would you please call the roll?
On items 1 through 11, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Thank you. Without objection, these ordinances are passed on first reading and finally passed unanimously. Madam Clerk, please call regular agenda, new business, item number 12.
Item 12 is a resolution to approve the First Amendment to the agreement between Crestwood Behavioral Health and the DPH, the Department of Public Health, to provide long-term mental health services in a 24-hour locked facility, to increase the agreement by approximately $147 million for a new amount of $224.2 million, a term extension of 5 years through June 30th, 2028, and to authorize DPH to enter into contract amendments or modifications prior to its final execution by all parties that do not materially increase the obligations or liabilities to the city, yet are necessary to effectuate the purpose of the contract.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please call the roll.
On item 12, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Without objection, this resolution is adopted unanimously. Madam Clerk, please call item number 13.
Item 13 is a resolution to designate Wind newspaper to be the outreach community periodical for the Chinese community, the Potrero View, Inc. to be the neighborhood outreach periodical, for the Potrero Hill, Dog Patch, Mission Bay, Eastern and South of Market, Mission and Bayview neighborhoods, and the World Journal to be the neighborhood outreach periodical for the Portola neighborhood and as one of the neighborhood outreach periodicals for the Sunset neighborhood, and to provide outreach advertising for fiscal year 2020 through 2023.
Thank you. Please call the roll on item number 13.
On item 13, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Without objection, this resolution is adopted unanimously. Madam Clerk, please call items number 14 and 15 together.
Items 14 and 15 are two resolutions that comprise two state grants. Item 14 is retroactive authorization to the DPH, the Department of Public Health, to accept and expend a California Department of Public Health grant increase of $96,000 for a new total of $979,000 for a sexually transmitted disease program management and collaboration, term July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2024. And item 15, this is retroactive authorization to the DPH to accept and expend a grant in the amount of $791,000 from the United States Department of Education through the California Department of Rehabilitation to participate in a state vocational rehabilitation services program through June 30th, 2025.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please call the roll.
On items 14 and 15, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Thank you. Without objection, these resolutions are adopted unanimously. Madam Clerk, please call items 16 and 17 together.
Items 16 and 17 are two resolutions that comprise two apply for and accept fund allocation requests to the California Department of Housing and Community Development. Item 16 reauthorizes the HSA, the Human Services Agency, to apply for and accept a fund allocation from the California Department of Housing and Community Development under the Housing Navigators Program for $184,000 to help young adults secure and maintain housing. Item 17 reauthorizes the HSA to apply for and accept an amount of up to $574,000 from the state under the Transitional Housing Program to help young adults secure and maintain housing.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please call the roll.
On items 16 and 17, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Thank you. Without objection, these resolutions are adopted unanimously. Madam Clerk, please call item number 18.
Item 18 is retroactive authorization by the Office of the District Attorney to accept and expend an in-kind gift of pro bono legal services valued at $250,000 provided by the University of San Francisco School of Law's Racial Justice Clinic and funded by the Vital Projects Fund and Elizabeth Zitron to support the work assisting the Office of the District Attorney, Sentencing Review Unit, and Wrongful Conviction Unit, and Innocence Commission for the grant term through November 2022.
Thank you. Supervisor Preston.
Thank you, President Walton. And I wanted to thank the both the donors to this important program, as well as all the folks doing the work and the Innocence Commission, and all of you colleagues for your support of the unanimous resolution previously on the importance of this ongoing work. Since the time of our committee hearing, just have heard some concerns around the ongoing program that I wanted to ask a few questions of a representative of the district attorney's office. And I just want to make clear, you know, I'm going to certainly ask everyone to vote for this and fully support this work, but also just want to make sure that despite the change in our DA in the city, that this work continues. So I believe someone from, I believe Ms. Anderson from the district attorney's office is available, and Mr. President Fouquet, I'd like to direct a couple questions her way.
Thank you so much. I did see that she logged on. Go ahead, Supervisor Preston.
Thank you. Through the president, so the donation was intended to fund the racial justice clinic's work with the district attorney's sentencing review unit, and I wanted to check with the district attorney's office that unit is still in existence and is still collaborating with the racial justice clinic at USF.
Thank you. I'm Tara Anderson, Director of Policy for the District Attorney's Office, and I will certainly do my best to respond to all of the supervisors' questions. And thank you for your continued support of such an essential and critical resource for the District Attorney's Office. So these resources will continue to fund and support the work of the sentence review, wrongful conviction, and what has been commonly referred to as the Innocence Commission. That work will absolutely continue.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. And then the district attorney's office previously had a liaison to the Innocence Commission. That person's employment was terminated on July 15th, if media reports are accurate. And I wanted to find out if the district attorney has appointed a new liaison to the Innocence Commission.
That is correct. There is a new staffing pattern over that area of work. I actually am not familiar with this specific point of contact for the Innocence Commission liaison, and absolutely can get back to the supervisor and the board as a whole with the specific contact leading that specific area of work.
Thank you. That would be great. One of the other things that we've heard from members of the Innocence Commission is that they no longer have access to the documents and the emails that they need to perform their duties that previously they were able to access with the district attorney's office. I don't know if that is because of the change in the liaison or some other reason, but I wanted to clarify whether access to the necessary documents and emails for Innocence Commission members will be restored, and if so, when.
Thank you for the question. I have not been made aware of any administrative challenges with accessing necessary documents. I'll certainly bring that back to our team and, if necessary, provide a response to the board as a whole.
So there's been no change with respect to what the Innocence Commission members should do or do not have access to in terms of documents and emails?
I have not been made aware of a lack of access or a policy determination of any sort regarding access to files. It is not uncommon with the nature of access to SharePoint, for example, just functionally. I am personally aware through other situations whereby lack of access can happen because of the permissions granted. Again, it's not been brought to my attention that this is an issue, and I can circle back with our team to find out more.
Thank you. I definitely would appreciate any follow-up on that. And I just want to reiterate, the board has unanimously supported this program. Pleased to hear of the ongoing statements of support, despite the change in DA. And so anything we can do to support that, we want to do. One final question, and thank you, Mr. President, for the time on this. So this donation that we're being asked to approve today, and the in-kind services being provided, is a retroactive grant. It goes through, it funds, my understanding is it funds the work through November, and we talked about that in committee. That's just a few months away. Are there current plans to seek to renew this grant so that this work can continue to be funded beyond November?
Again, thank you to both the committee and Supervisor Preston for your championship in joining as co-sponsor for this specific accept and expend before the board today. It is absolutely a critical resource for not only the San Francisco District Attorney's Office, but certainly prosecutors across the state of California and the nation as a whole. We absolutely do hope to continue to have that support. As you pointed out, and know that this is a gift resource resolution. And so, in turn, looking to the city to support these efforts moving forward would absolutely be a great resource. So, yes, we're looking for continued support. This is a critical resource and an important function that we will continue in the San Francisco District Attorney's Office.
Thank you. And one final clarification, just as you were answering, to my first question about the new liaison, can you just clarify at this point, will there be one new person? Previously, Alicia Hurtado was the liaison between DA's office and the commission. Is the intention to appoint a new person to be that point of contact and to assume those obligations, or is this being spread across a team or to multiple individuals?
It is my understanding that it would continue to be a single point of contact liaison. And again, confirming who that is, I would need to circle back with our leadership to provide that specific point of contact.
Thank you very much. I have no more questions, Mr. President. Again, appreciate the time and urge colleagues to support this important resolution.
Thank you, Supervisor Preston, and thank you, Tara, for coming on this afternoon with us. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on item number 18.
On item 18, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Without objection, this resolution is adopted unanimously. Madam Clerk, please call item number 19.
Item 19 is an ordinance to amend the planning code to designate 200 Rhode Island Street, also known as the Takahashi Trading Company, as a landmark to affirm the CEQA determination and to make the appropriate findings.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please call a roll on item number 19.
On item 19, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Without objection, this ordinance is passed on first reading unanimously. Madam Clerk, please call item number 20.
Item 20. This is a resolution to adopt the Soma Pilipinas Filipino Cultural Heritage District's Cultural History, Housing, and Economic Sustainability Strategy Report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Supervisor Marr.
Thank you, President Walton. I just really wanted to acknowledge and thank the Soma Filipino community for all of their work on this first, I think it's the city's first chess report for a cultural district. So really impressive and report laying out the framework for the work to come, all the exciting and important work to come from Soma Filipinas. So thank you, and thank you to MoCD and all the departments for working with them. And I requested to be added as a co-sponsor in committee, but I don't see it noted on that. So please do add me as a co-sponsor.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you, Supervisor Marr. Supervisor Ronan?
Yes, having written the legislation, creating a format and the concept of a chess report for the cultural districts, I'm very excited to see this. And I just want to recognize Raquel in the audience for your years of work on the Soma Filipina Cultural District. It's incredible, and really excited about this, and asked to be added as a co-sponsor as well.
Thank you, Supervisor Ronan. Supervisor Melgar?
Thank you, President Walton. Just wanted to join the party and be added as a co-sponsor as well. Thank you.
Noted.
Thank you, Supervisor Melgar. Supervisor Dorsey?
Thank you, President Walton. I just want to add my voice to the chorus of kudos for this, and it has been exciting to be a part of having some meetings and seeing this come together, some of the planning for this, for the community, and I'm just very happy for you and happy to be a part of this.
Thank you, Supervisor Dorsey. Supervisor Safai?
Thank you. We had sent also a message just a little while ago, but wanted to make sure that we were added as a co-sponsor as well.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Supervisor Safai. Supervisor Stephanie?
Yes, I too would like to be added as a co-sponsor and did send an email to the clerk, and congratulations, this is great work.
Thank you, Supervisor Stephanie, and thank you, colleagues, and congratulations. This is great work. We are excited to move this forward. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on item number 20?
On item number 20, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Aye. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai.
Aye.
Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Thank you. Without objection, this resolution is adopted unanimously. Madam Clerk, please call item number 21.
Item 21 is a motion to appoint Supervisor Matt Dorsey, term ending January 31st, 2023, to the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And before we vote on this, I will entertain a motion to excuse Supervisor Dorsey, made by Supervisor Stephanie, seconded by Supervisor Mandelman.
On the motion to excuse Supervisor Dorsey from item 21, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 10 ayes.
Thank you. Without objection, Supervisor Dorsey is excused from item number 21. And Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on the motion for item 21?
On item 21, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar.
Aye.
Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin.
Aye.
Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 10 ayes with Supervisor Dorsey excused.
Thank you, and without objection, this motion is approved unanimously. Welcome back, Supervisor Dorsey. And I do want to say thank you for being willing to serve on this body. We definitely need more representation, so appreciate you for stepping up. Madam Clerk, we are now at 2:30. Would you please call our 2:30 special commendations item?
Yes, Mr. President, it's now time for members of the City and County of San Francisco to be recognized by the board for their meritorious service to the city. We do have two supervisors, I believe Supervisor Stephanie and Mr. President.
Thank you so much. And Supervisor Stephanie, we will go in order of roll call, so you are on.
Thank you, President Walton. Colleagues, today I would like to honor the Korean Center, a long-standing cultural pillar of San Francisco, and the director, Kate Nam, who I believe is here today. So if you want to come up to the podium. Since 1974, the Korean Center, also known as KCI, has provided resources for acculturation, employment, and language training for Korean immigrants. During the 1980s, Koreans were California's most rapidly expanding immigrant population. By 1984, KCI was able to meet the demand for serving their community through the purchase of their current building at 1362 Post Street, which is in District 2. This permanent location helped facilitate deeper services, educational programming, and a regular gathering space for a thriving Korean immigrant population. By the late 1980s, underserved minorities from Russia, Southeast Asia, as well as African Americans and Latinos could seek job training and placement at the Korean Center. By 1989, the Korean Center was offering Korean language and cultural programs for interested non-Koreans. By the 1990s, with the flourishing community, second-generation Korean Americans had even greater impact in San Francisco. The demand for English and Korean language, business, and a master's program in Korean studies brought KCI's greatest expansion. In 2012, KCI was awarded affiliation with the Sejong Institute and shifted their educational focus to high-quality ESL programming, which remains in current high demand. Serving generations of immigrants and Korean Americans, KCI also hosts numerous enriching courses like guitar, choir, line dancing, and Tai Chi. During the COVID-19 pandemic, KCI translated and provided over 90 resources to the community and delivered 6,000 meals and 6,240 banchan to 160 Korean seniors in San Francisco. KCI is also the lead sponsor of San Francisco's Chuseok Day festivities, which is my Chief of Staff's favorite holiday, and loves your food at the festival, so everyone needs to go to that this weekend in the Presidio. We are going to recognize that later in this meeting as well. But I want to thank Director Kate Nam and her whole team on behalf of the Board of Supervisors for all the work that you do for San Francisco. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Supervisor Kathleen Stephanie and the Board of Supervisors. On behalf of Korean Center, Inc., KCI of San Francisco, I cannot thank you and your colleague enough for selecting KCI for this commendation, especially on this momentous week leading up to the San Francisco very own Chuseok Festival. We are honored that you acknowledged our effort to serve the Bay Area immigration community from Korea and from all over the world, as they have made this place their home and contributed its rich history and culture. When KCI was initially founded in 1974, we work was focused on supporting early immigrant community in learning English and gaining professional job skills. Our services not only helped them to settle in the Bay Area, but also, more importantly, helped them become active member of the city. The time has changed since then, and KCI's mission have evolved to adapt to expanded needs of today's San Francisco, to create spaces for exploring Korean culture and heritage, bridging communities and generation, and collaborating with other organizations that shares in this vision. Just As our services has expanded over time and will continually evolve to meet the changes of community's need, our core principle has remained the same: bring our communities together. We have been doing this throughout almost 50 years by creating collaborative opportunities and celebrating diverse cultures and heritage that make up the beloved city of San Francisco and the Bay region. Our city and our community have experienced and still face many challenges that require hard work and continuous effort. A single person and a single organization cannot do this work alone. KCI is committing to serve the city and working together with our communities. Like Helen Keller said once, alone you can do so little. Together we can do so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Stephanie, and congratulations again to Korean Center, Inc. And colleagues, now we are going to celebrate another milestone. Today, I am pleased to extend a heartfelt congratulations to the San Francisco Black Firefighters Association for 50 years of service. And we're going to give a couple of honors out this afternoon. So if we could have the President, Antoine Davis, come up, who's going to say a few words after we call up awardees. But I do just want to say, one, that this is an amazing organization, really fighting for equity within the fire department, one, by demonstrating exemplary service for the members of the department for so many years, but also for their work to make sure that the doors are open for people of color and for Black people to become members of the firefighters and the fire department here in San Francisco. So we are proud to recognize and honor the association, whose principal goals include fostering pride and professionalism among Black firefighters, supporting their active involvement in civic, community, and public affairs, and a commitment to the youth of San Francisco through its San Francisco Fire Academy. I also want to state that members of the BFA were instrumental and played an integral part of making sure that the EMT program was in place here in San Francisco, and we've already seen graduates go on to become EMTs, working hard to become firefighters. And as we talk about diversity, as we talk about racial equity, as we talk about taking the steps to make sure that opportunities are available for communities that have been left out of so many city roles and city departments, this is definitely an organization that has been stepping up to the plate to do the right thing in that area. So today we want to thank and honor them. The first three people who we want to honor are posthumously, and the first one is Earl Gage Jr., who was the first Black firefighter here in San Francisco and the Director of Community Relations. Some of you may know we also named a street after Mr. Gage. Lieutenant Edgar Bryant, who was the second Black firefighter with the San Francisco Fire Department, and Battalion Chief John Harris, who was the founder and first president of the San Francisco Black Firefighters Association. So we want to honor them for their dedication and commitment and then their service. And thankfully, we still have some strong retired members who are around to provide tutelage and mentorship. So first, we have Assistant Deputy Chief of Management and Support Services, Frank Scales. If you could come up, Frank. Assistant Chief Audrey Lee, who is a VFA founder, president, and vice president. Chief Robert Dimmons, who was the first black San Francisco Fire Department fire chief, also retired. And Lieutenant Sheila Hunter, the first black female San Francisco Fire Department firefighter, also retired. So we again want to thank you so much for your commitment, dedication, and for your service. And now we're going to have the Black Firefighters Association current president, Antoine Davis, say a few words.
Thank you, President Walton, Board of Supervisors. Just a little bit more to go into it. It is our 50-year anniversary, and I want to personally say thank you. I'm glad that we have the ability to honor them in such a facet today, because without them, I wouldn't be here today. Without them, I couldn't create the opportunities that we went on to create, so on and so forth. So if we can, one more time, give everybody a hand in attendance, because they really do mean a lot to us. It's our 50th year anniversary, and I'll just read a little excerpt. The BFA was founded in 1972 by the chartered membership, which includes Earl Gage Jr., Audrey Lee, John Harris, Frank Scales, and the fire safety technicians. The SFBFA is a chapter of the International Association of Professional Black Firefighters, which is 121 chapters, over 8,000 members. The SFBFA has a natural alignment with the efforts of the IABPFF on a national basis to address the issues facing black firefighters everywhere. Our mission is to work towards eradicating all discriminatory practices within the SFFD that limit recruitment, hiring, promoting, training, and education of all minority fire service professionals. The SFBFA has been instrumental in helping to make meaningful change within the SFFD, including major input and implementation of the stress unit and the start of EMT certifications during the training academy. In June of 1988, a consent decree was granted by the federal court to not only address the treatment of black firefighters, but also to create a work environment that is free of harassment and discrimination. The SFFD better reflects the diversity of San Francisco. Throughout all ranks, thanks to timeless efforts of the membership of the SFBFA, we are extremely proud to have one of, if not the most diverse professional fire departments in the nation. Our work, though well accomplished, is never complete, because we must continue to provide services and support all minorities in the SFFD. So once again, thank you, President Walton, and I want to thank everybody standing here today for the commitment, the diligence, and the courage that it took to be in the shoes that they were in a place that they were in, and be as successful as they were in an organization, and that opened the door for me to go do the same. So once again, thank you guys.
Our 2:30 special commendations. We are now at roll call for introductions.
First supervisor up to introduce new business begins with Supervisor Chan.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, it's good to see all of you back from the legislative recess. And though today, I have to say, today I am introducing in memoria for Daniel Ehrman, a constituent in our district. Daniel passed away on August 24th and is survived by his loving wife of 31 years, Karen McNulty, and sons Luke and Cal, who Dan considered his greatest contribution to the world in a lifetime filled with them. Dan was a native San Franciscan, first raised in the Sunset District before settling in the Richmond district. He attended Holy Name and St. Ignatius College Prep before continuing his education at City College of San Francisco and later UC Berkeley. His enthusiasm and leadership make him a favorite counselor at Christian or Catholic Youth Organization Camp Occidental, and he would go on to direct Holy Name Summer Camp for 3 consecutive years and continue to be an educator partner in St. Pius and a soccer coach, as well as a faith formation minister and teacher at St. Ignatius Parish. As an exemplary neighbor, just really great to just have him in the Richmond. Dan greeted passerbys each morning as he loaded up his pickup for the day's work, as he loaded his pickup truck for the day's work, and always took the time to welcome newcomers to the neighborhood. His friendliness warmed the foggy outer avenues, and it wasn't uncommon to see him joining a game with the local kids in the driveway, walking with Cal and Karen through Golden Gate Park, or toasting friends in the backyard of the beautiful home they restored in the Richmond district. After living and struggling with ALS these past few years, Dan leaves behind not only a sweeping legacy, but a cherished extended family, beloved nieces and nephews, as well as many devoted lifelong friends. Dan will be remembered for creating a sense of community in all of the groups he moved in, and I'm grateful to have known him and served him and represented him as his district supervisor. I wish we have more of Dan in our community, so he will be greatly missed, and may he rest in peace and power. Thank you. And the rest I will submit.
Thank you, Supervisor Chan. Supervisor Dorsey, you're next up on roll call.
Thank you, colleagues. I'm introducing today a resolution that seeks to take a collaborative first step in scoping a comprehensive, coordinated, and sustained citywide plan to make the kind of progress San Franciscans are demanding of us on drug-related harms. Together with my co-authors, Supervisor Stephanie and Supervisor Mandelman, we've dubbed the underlying strategy San Francisco Recovers. It aims to reverse trends in drug overdose deaths, to incentivize recovery for those struggling with addiction, and to end street-level drug dealing and open-air drug scenes that are inflicting so many harms on so many of our neighborhoods. This approach intentionally starts by doing the necessary groundwork of engaging collaboratively with 21 relevant city departments and 6 commissions, and then holding all of us accountable as members of the Board of Supervisors for ensuring that our city's response is well coordinated, fully funded, and effective. The roadmap San Francisco Recovers envisions is based on proven drug market interventions and public health strategies that work and continue to work in major cities in Europe and the United States. It calls for coordinated approaches that will fit into 5 categories: public health, criminal justice, right to recovery programs, sober New Deal programs, and enhanced transparency efforts. I want to express my appreciation to City Attorney David Chu on this. As a 14-year veteran of that office, I want to give credit where credit is due to him and his outstanding team for the funding to which we will have access because of his office's great work on litigation against opioid manufacturers. San Francisco will have more than $100 million in funding over the next several years for drug abatement purposes, and I hope this will enable us to maximize the the impact of existing citywide resources with this plan that we're proposing. I'm looking forward to collaborating with city departments and most of all my colleagues on this, some of whom I've spoken with, some of whom I haven't yet, as well as our community stakeholders and city employees. I'm excited to get to work on this, and I think it's what San Franciscans are demanding of us. So thanks so much. And the rest I submit.
Thank you, Supervisor Dorsey. Supervisor Mandelman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I have a hearing request and 3 in memoria today. I am calling for a hearing on the state of traffic enforcement in San Francisco. As you know, the city adopted Vision Zero as policy in 2014, which set a bold vision to eliminate traffic deaths by 2024 and committed city resources to build safer streets, educate the public on traffic safety, enforce traffic laws, and adopt policy changes that save lives. Before the August recess, the Transportation Authority received a 2021 traffic fatality report briefing from the Vision Zero team at DPH, MTA, and PD. Sadly, this report showed that with less than 18 months to go to meet the Vision Zero's 2024 goal, there's no discernible trend toward improved street safety. According to that report, San Francisco saw 27 traffic-related deaths in 2021. These 27 deaths are a 10% decrease since the previous year, but remain near the annual average of 28 deaths since Vision Zero was adopted back in 2014. Even more concerning is that 2022 is now on track to be the deadliest year on San Francisco streets since the Vision Zero program began. As of June, the most recent data available, there have already been 19 traffic-related fatalities this year, including 10 pedestrians killed by motorized vehicles. Now, the city has spent many millions on infrastructure fixes to improve pedestrian and bicycle safety, but we are still falling short. Vehicle speed is the leading factor in fatal and severe crashes. Nearly 1 in 5, or 19%, of severe and fatal injury crashes in San Francisco are caused by excessive speed. In fact, a speed increase of just 5 miles per hour is twice as fatal in a collision. In 2020, SFMTA examined the effects of speed enforcement on driver behavior and recommended regular, sustained enforcement to achieve lower vehicle speeds. Yet it appears that we as a city have all but given up on enforcing our traffic laws. SFPD is currently writing on average 10 citations per day citywide compared to 74 per day in 2019, according to a new analysis. This downward trend began well before the pandemic. SFPD shows that traffic tickets fell significantly in the decade before 2020. A recent analysis of SFPD traffic citation data by a community advocate that was featured in the Chronicle revealed that only 35% of all traffic citations over the past five years were for focus on the 5 violations. These are the 5 most common causes of traffic collisions and injuries, things like speeding and running stop signs. Under Vision Zero, the police department has set a target that at least half of all traffic citations should be for focus on the 5 violations. So plainly, something is wrong, and I think it is appropriate for this board, and in particular probably the Public Safety and Neighborhood Services Committee, to try to figure out what that is and figure out how we can change some of these trends. The first of my in memoria is for Jane Lloyd, or Mary Jane Lloyd, who died in her Prosper Street home on August 22nd at the age of 69. Jane was an out and proud lesbian, a longtime fixture in the Castro neighborhood. She was passionate about progressive politics and dedicated much of her life to advocating for LGBTQ+ issues, climate justice, reproductive rights, and dog rescue. Jane had 2 small dogs who she loved very much, and they accompanied Jane to work at the former Viking barbershop at 17th and Sanchez in the Castro. She served countless San Franciscans as a barber, mentor, and friend. One of those friends, former supervisor and now BART director Bevan Duffy, said she had a folksy way about her. She was kind, funny, and a wonderful person to know. An advocate even after she passed, contributions in Jane's memory can be made to Muttville, one of her favorite causes. She's survived by her sister Linda, brother-in-law Eric, nieces and nephews, and a San Francisco community that will sorely miss her. Rest in power, Jane. Secondly, Israel Nieves Rivera, a longtime public servant and community advocate who championed compassionate treatment and health programs for the LGBTQ+ community. As policy director for the Population Health Division at the Department of Public Health, Israel was instrumental in shaping HIV prevention strategies locally and nationally, and he was especially focused on health disparities affecting the Latinx community. Sadly, he passed away far too young on August 1st at the age of 51. Israel grew up in a proud Puerto Rican family in New York, earning his undergraduate degree in social science and secondary education at SUNY Oneonta in 1992. He taught high school in New York for a time, but soon moved to San Francisco, where he went to work for Aguilas, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting the gay and bisexual Latinx community. As director of programs and operations at Aguilas, Israel implemented HIV prevention intervention programs, mentored interns, and staff, and conducted outreach to Latinx, gay, and bisexual men. This work put him on track for a career in public policy planning around HIV and drug abuse prevention. In 2005, he became Director of HIV Prevention Policy at DPH, where he managed efforts including Project Pride, which works to reduce drug abuse among teens, and Project Maven, which connects retired physicians with people living in underserved communities. He also provided ongoing input into the framing of the National HIV/AIDS Strategy and served as co-chair of the HIV Prevention Planning Council and was a founding member of the Urban Coalition on HIV/AIDS Prevention Services. Israel went on to serve as policy director of DPH's Population Health Division, where he worked on local, state, and national policy to improve overall population health with a focus on reducing disparities and improving health equity. He also supported the effort to maintain the department's public health accreditation, and more recently he worked on cannabis policy and implementation following the passage of Proposition 64 in 2016. I had the opportunity to work with Israel directly over the past several years on our efforts to undo a set of outdated regulations that had made it essentially impossible to operate a queer bathhouse in San Francisco. His passion for empowering the queer community was clear in his commitment to overcoming the lingering stigma and trauma caused by the AIDS crisis, as well as recognizing the importance that community spaces like bathhouses can play in sexual health education and HIV prevention. I and my staff send our deepest condolences to Israel's many friends, colleagues in the city family. Rest in power, Israel Nieves Rivera. May your memory be for a blessing. And lastly, I would ask that we adjourn today's meeting in memory of Pat Norman, who died on August 5th at the age of 82. Pat was a trailblazing black lesbian activist who fought for gay rights, women's rights, and the rights of people of color, and she was an indispensable leader and LGBTQ advocate during the HIV/AIDS pandemic. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Pat was shaped by parents who she described as very conscious about what was happening in the world. Her father owned a trucking company, and her mother was a civil rights activist, and the pair encouraged her to get involved with civil rights and social causes. Pat landed in San Francisco in 1971 and co-founded the Lesbian Mothers Union to fight for lesbian parents, including in child custody disputes. The next year, Pat became the first openly gay person hired by the San Francisco Department of Public Health. Putting her master's degree in clinical psychology to work, Pat worked as a community mental health worker. As the AIDS crisis became acute, Pat coordinated lesbian and gay health services for the city. She was a key leader in the development of the San Francisco model of care, which involved a collaborative network of city agencies, community organizations, hospitals, and healthcare providers. Through the years, Pat also served on several city commissions, the Police Commission, Fire Commission, and Human Rights Commission, and she ran 3 times for the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. She provided years of leadership to local nonprofits and service providers, serving as president of the Black Coalition on AIDS, president of SAGE, and president of Larkin Street Youth Center. She retired in 2002 and moved to Hawaii, where she lived for 2 decades before residing in Las Vegas, where she passed away on August 5th. Pat raised 6 children and leaves 7 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. Her son, Zach Norman, recently told the Bay Area Reporter that his mom ran with important people in her lifetime. Every single time she would say, "She's a righteous woman," or "He's a righteous man," her son said, and added, "My biggest descriptor is, she was a righteous woman." Rest in power, Pat Norman. May your memory be a blessing, as your life was for San Francisco's queer community. And the rest I submit.
Thank you, Supervisor Mandelman. Supervisor Marr.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd just like to join Supervisor Chan in her in memoriam for Daniel Ehrman, and send my deepest condolences to his family and loved
Noted.
ones. And thank you. The rest I submit.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Marr. Supervisor Melgar.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I have an in memoriam that I am submitting and asking us to close the meeting in memory, along with Supervisor Catherine Stephanie, of Lawrence E. Alioto Sr., who passed away early in the evening of August 10th this year. Lawrence Alioto was born on May 11th, 1942, to Joseph Lawrence Alioto, who went on to become our mayor in San Francisco, elected in 1968, and Angelina Alioto ne Gennaro in the Marina District. Lawrence grew up in Presidio Heights and attended St. Vincent de Paul Grammar School and graduated high school from St. Ignatius. While at SI, Lawrence met Anne Musselem, the love of his life, whom he would marry when they were just 21 years old. And Lawrence and Anne went on to raise two sons, Joseph Lawrence Alioto II and Lawrence Alioto Jr. His last several decades were spent in North Beach, where his grandparents settled from Sicily in the late 1800s. He started his higher education at Notre Dame, but returned to be with Anne after one semester. He missed her too much and transferred to Stanford University, where he completed his undergraduate studies in just 3 years. He went on to earn a Juris Doctorate from Boalt Hall in Berkeley and spent 56 years loving the law with his gifted legal mind. He relished his family tradition of winning landmark cases over entrenched interests throughout his remarkable legal career. He was a terrific athlete, a basketball star, and then later a dedicated open water swimmer with the Dolphin Club here in San Francisco, as well as an avid golfer. He will also be remembered by those who knew him best as an intellectual powerhouse and a true Renaissance man. A master of language, Lawrence became fluent in French and then later taught himself and mastered reading and writing Russian, which he cultivated conversationally with weekly visits to San Francisco's Russian Center. It was not uncommon for Lawrence to memorize Shakespeare plays while on the bus to Santa Cruz en route to watch them being performed live in the park. You only knew the side of him if you knew Lawrence, and all of his pursuits were like this. If asked, he would always willingly share, but never with any condescension. He was truly a pure intellectual. The Alioto family, our community, and San Francisco herself have lost a fascinating and uniquely talented man who upheld all of our traditions. Lawrence is survived by his loving family, his sons Joseph L. Alioto II and Lawrence Alioto Jr., daughter-in-law Catherine Alioto, grandchildren Joseph, Isabella, Ava, Anthony, Alessandra, and his siblings Joseph Alioto, Angela Alioto Veronese, Michael Alioto, Patrick Alioto, Domenica Alioto, their spouses, and 33 nieces and nephews. Any donations in his name can be made to the Russian Center of San Francisco. Thank you, and the rest I submit.
Thank you, Supervisor Melgar. Next up is Supervisor Peskin.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, today I'm introducing a couple of resolutions, one with regard to Sharp Park, a city park in San Mateo County in Pacifica, which if all of you saw the article in the Chronicle by Gary Kamiya, was unbeknownst to me and I think to many, many people as a Japanese internment camp during World War II. We all know about Tanforan and Topaz and Manzanar, but did not realize that a city park was the site of an internment camp. This is a resolution urging our Recreation and Parks Department to acknowledge this dark chapter of our history with appropriate interpretive signage on site. The second resolution is urging our SFMTA to take clear and decisive action to enforce against motorized scooters on sidewalks in clear violation of our existing laws, but that is proliferating despite the advent of anti-sidewalk geofencing technology, and asking the SFMTA to not allow permits to be issued for any scooters that are not equipped with that technology, as the industry has been extremely slow in equipping their 4,000 permitted devices with that technology. And finally, colleagues, I'd like to adjourn today's meeting in the memory of several individuals, most of which I will submit directly to the clerk, but two that I will speak to. One being somebody who we honored before this board on the occasion of her retirement at the age of 95. 5 years ago in 2017, I had the privilege of honoring a real-life Wonder Woman, Ruth Gottstein, when she retired at age 95, and she passed away last week at the age of 100, and left a really awe-inspiring list of accomplishments that are too many to list, but she was a remarkable and engaged San Franciscan who founded the Volcano Press, a feminist press that ultimately moved to Volcano, California, but started out at Glide Memorial here in the 1970s. She used that press to combat domestic violence through activism and education, and has been a role model for women and men alike. She was born in 1922 to Ada and Bernard Zackheim, who moved to San Francisco shortly after her birth. Her father, Bernard, was a pioneering Jewish artist and one of the first artists in the nation to be hired by President Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal program, which put to work artists and painters on public buildings. And as a young girl, she watched her father and 24 other muralists paint the renowned murals inside Coit Tower, sparking a lifelong commitment to championing public art. And she and her sister are actually depicted in those murals. Ruth was once the only person left alive who still vividly remembered the smell of the wet plaster inside Coit Tower when the fresco murals were being painted, and the spirit of harmony amongst the couple of dozen artists who painted it in just a few months. Decades later, her frustration at seeing the deterioration of those WPA-era murals at Coit Tower led her, together with John Gollinger, to lead a 2012 ballot campaign to create a mural restoration fund, which the voters voted for, and the building has since been fixed and the murals restored. And she remained one of Coit Tower's biggest champions and most knowledgeable historians. And as a result, it was only fitting that we honored Ruth on the occasion of the initiation of the formal process for the federal government to designate Coit Tower as a National Historic Landmark. And even after retiring at the age of 95, her dedication to literature, activism, and public art remained undiminished. And I want to send my sincere condolences to her surviving son, Adam, granddaughter, Jenny, and express how much I dearly loved Ruth and how grateful I am for her many years of service to San Francisco. She was a true treasure. And finally, colleagues, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of former longtime San Francisco Chronicle business and sports editor Al Sarasovic, who died sadly and suddenly last month. He hailed from Euclid, Ohio, but grew up in Cleveland and graduated from Rutgers. After more than a decade overseeing the sports staff at the Chronicle, subsequent to a stint as the business editor, Al accepted a buyout from the Chronicle and joined the Examiner as a director of news and sports in March of last year, where he also served as a general columnist. He was best known for his larger-than-life personality, often reveling in the old-school newsroom culture of people-to-people contact and chronicling the daily triumphs, challenges, and drama of the human condition in San Francisco. He had a way of turning up at the right place at the right time, always in service of a killer story or capturing the moment, demonstrating a tenacity for elbowing his way into a story. He guided the Chronicle's coverage through the Giants' 3 World Series wins, the Golden State Warriors' 5-year, 3-title NBA dynasty, and a pair of Super Bowl trips by the 49ers. He even devised a way to dye the paper green at the printer to continue the tradition of the sporting green. His love of sports and hometown athletes was legendary, as was his love for music. He sometimes played soulful blues harmonica with the Irish Newsboys, a band including journalists from the Chronicle and other local publications. He was a proud Croatian who spoke the language fluently and could be found wining and dining his interview targets at his favorite Croatian restaurant, the oldest restaurant in San Francisco, Tadic Grill, and he was possibly best remembered for his uncanny skill spotting and nurturing editorial talent, and was the driving force to hire sports columnist Ann Killian. Al passed at the age of 52 and lived with his family in Lafayette, and I want to send our deepest condolences to his surviving family, his wife Jennifer, son Sam, daughter Maggie, sister Ada, and father Tefko. The rest I submit.
Thank you, Supervisor Peskin. Supervisor Preston.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Submit.
Thank you. Submit. Supervisor Ronan. Submit. Thank you. Supervisor Safai.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Today I have an in memoriam. Sadly, it's with great sadness I announce the passing of my staffer, E.J. Jones' father, Ernest Jones Sr. Ernest Jones Sr. was a proud homeowner and resident of the Almi Lakeview for over 4 decades. The son of a Georgia sharecroppers, Ernest Jones Sr. was born on May 1st, 1944 in the small town of West Palm, Delray Beach, Florida. He was one of 6 children. The family owned a large farm, and at an early age, Ernest was driving a tractor and tending to the farm with his siblings. It was during this time that Ernest would begin to develop his nonstop work ethic, as you can imagine. Upon graduating from high school, Ernest enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. He served at Hamilton Army Airfield Base in Marin County for 4 years. After exiting the service, he moved to San Francisco, where he worked for the post office for a short period before being hired by the San Francisco Municipal Railway Agency, or MUNI. With a thirst to continue his education, Ernest enrolled in San Francisco City College, where he got his associate's degree in business and went to San Francisco State University. Ernest worked for MUNI for over 35 years and retired as a train inspector, working on all different areas of the railway. Outside of working, Ernest was a great family man. Ernest was the proud father of 2 children. In 1979, Ernest married his soulmate and lifelong partner, Vera. And to this union, a son was born, Ernest Jones Jr., who they fondly called EJ. Ernest was known as a handyman in San Francisco and a quiet philanthropist. He would buy turkeys for the holidays for St. Anthony's. He was a known parental fixture at St. Amedia's School. And outside of working, which he did nonstop, Mr. Jones was an avid collector of black Santa Clauses and was known to have the most elaborate Christmas decorations on his block. In addition, he hosted the best Christmas parties in town. Everyone was invited to his annual Christmas party. Throughout Ernest's amazing life, he remained humble and faithful steward to the Lord. He was a devoted member of St. John's Missionary Baptist Church in the Bayview. While Ernest's passing was unexpected and devastating to all that knew him, his legacy of hard work and family-first values continues to live on through his wife of 42 years, his children, his grandchildren, and to anyone who has ever been blessed to meet him. Ernest was the true definition of a devoted husband, father, grandfather, and overall great person. He will be sadly missed, but his legacy will live on. And the rest I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Safai. Supervisor Stephanie.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, today I would like to close today's meeting in memory of Marilyn Loden, who died in St. Helena on August 6th, and she was 76 years old. Marilyn was most notably known for giving a name to the glass ceiling, a term she referenced to women's barriers in workplace advancement. As a panelist for a feminist conference in 1978, Marilyn coined the phrase in direct response to her colleagues citing poor self-image and self-deprecating behaviors as a source of career disadvantage. The phrase would first appear in print in 1984 and was subsequently introduced in the Merriam-Webster Collegiate Dictionary in 1993. But Marilyn was more than a catchphrase feminist. She was a brilliant leader. For over 25 years, she led a consulting firm as an expert on change management and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Her clients included the U.S. Treasury Department, NASA, Genentech, and the Federal Reserve Bank, to name just a few. Her first book, Feminine Leadership, or How to Succeed in Business Without Being One of the Boys, published in 1985, has since been named one of the best 50 business books and is published in 6 languages. Her second publication, Workforce America, Managing Employee Diversity as a Vital Resource, was adopted as the principal text in executive development programs at many graduate schools across the country. Marilyn was a true visionary in addition to being a writer and consultant. In the early 90s, she developed the Diversity Wheel with colleague Judy Rosner, a framework that helps name parts of the social self within broader social categories, a tool that is thriving today within academic and training spaces alike. Marilyn Loden's legacy lives on not only through her characterization of women in the workplace and the glass ceiling, but through her own leadership to break through it. Marilyn was predeceased by her husband and is survived by her sister, Patricia Pollock, 2 nephews, Jeffrey and Christopher Farrow, and 2 grandnieces. And the rest I submit.
Thank you, Supervisor Stephanie and President Walton.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, today I have a resolution and one in memoriam. But first, the resolution is recognizing every September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. The American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection reports cancer is the leading cause of death by disease among U.S. children between infancy and age 15. This tragic disease is detected in more than 16,000 of our country's young people. Every year, an estimated 400,000 children and adolescents are diagnosed with cancer globally each year. Every year, the American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection provides a variety of vital patient psychological services, including toy distributions, pet-assisted therapy, educational programs, and hospital celebrations in honor of a child's determination and bravery to fight the battle against childhood cancer. This year, they requested a resolution from the board to recognize September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And on behalf of the entire Board of Supervisors, I have an in memoriam for one of our colleagues in Ventura County. Supervisor Carmen Ramirez, who was the first Latina to serve on the Ventura County Board of Supervisors in 2020. Her colleagues elected her as the board chair earlier this year, a role she held at the time of her death. She was tragically struck by a truck driver on August 12th during the summer recess. Supervisor Ramirez was born on August 14th, 1948 in Pico Viejo, now known as the city of Pico Rivera. In a single generation, she achieved milestone after milestone of progress in areas such as social, civil, and environmental justice. She continued on that path into her last step. It is impossible to even summarize Supervisor Ramirez's achievements, but people should know that her home is filled with unaccountable awards, certificates of appreciation, commendations, and artistically designed trophies from the underserved communities that she helped. Supervisor Ramirez is survived by her husband, Roy Prince, siblings, adopted sons, nieces and nephews, and many members of her family who are incredibly proud of the extraordinary life that Carmen had. The rest, I submit.
And Mr. President, you wanted that to be on behalf of the entire Board of Supervisors?
Correct.
Okay, noted. Thank you, Mr. President. Seeing no other names on the roster, that concludes the introduction of new business.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We are now at public comment.
At this time, the Board of Supervisors welcomes general public comment. We will first hear comment from those present in the chamber and then from those joining us remotely. To provide remote testimony, you must be connected to the call-in system. You should dial 415-655-0001. When you hear the prompt, enter the meeting ID 2493-630-8747. Press the pound symbol twice. You'll have joined the meeting. You will hear the discussion, but your line will be muted. You'll be in the listening queue. Once you're connected in that queue, that's when you should press *3. The system will indicate you have raised your hand. Please continue to wait and then listen for the system to say you have been unmuted. That is your cue to begin speaking your comments. During general public comment, you may speak to the 5 sets of minutes considered by the board. That will be approved after general public comment concludes. Items 24 through 28, the items for consideration on the adoption without committee reference calendar, and general matters that are not on today's agenda but are within the board's subject matter jurisdiction. Excuse me. All other agenda content will have been reported out to the board by an appropriate committee where the public comment requirement has been fulfilled. The board will accept written correspondence by U.S. mail using the address, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, the number 1, Dr. Carlton B. Goodlett Place, City Hall, room 244, San Francisco, California, 94102, or send an email to the board using the email address bos@sfgov.org. We are joined by our partners from the Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs. I ask each interpreter to introduce themselves and instruction on how to connect to the remote system to provide public comment in language. We'll start with Vivian Liu for Chinese, Raymond Borres for Filipino, and Arturo Cosenza for Spanish. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. 我係三藩市民政及移民辦事處嘅中文口譯員劉姑娘。中文口譯服務將提供至今晚7點。如遠程參與會議嘅公眾人士要表達意見，請撥打1415-655-0001，之後輸入會議 ID 號碼2493-630-8747，再按2次極井號鍵加入收聽會議之後，再按3號鍵排隊輪候發言。聽到提示音 You have been unmuted 已取消靜音，即表示你隨時可以發言。公眾人士嘅發言時間不得超過2分鐘。現場參與會議嘅公眾人士將會優先發言。多謝 ，Thank you。
Magandang hapon po. Ito po si Raymond mula sa Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs na inyong katulong sa wikang Pilipino hanggang ikapito ngayong gabi. Para magbigay ng pampublikong komento, tumawag po 415-655-0001. Gamitin po ang meeting ID na 2493-630-8747. Matapos po ito, pindutin simulang pang 2 ulit para makasali at madinig ang pagpupulong. Para magbigay ng inyong pahayag, pindutin po ang star 3 at hintayin po ang hudyat na maaaring magsalita o marinig ang you have been unmuted. Magbigay komento sa loob ng 2 minuto. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Buenos días, me llamo Arturo Cosenza, soy un empleado de la Oficina de Participación Cívica y Asuntos de Inmigrantes y estaré prestando servicios de interpretación al español hoy hasta las 7 de la noche. Para dar su comentario público, por favor, marque 415-655-0001, seguido por el código de acceso 2493-630-8747, más la tecla de numeral 2 veces. Luego presione asterisco 3 y antes de empezar a hablar, espere que el sistema le diga que su línea ha sido activada o you have been unmuted en inglés. Usted tendrá solo 2 minutos para dar su comentario. Gracias.
Thank
you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. We thank our interpreters for being with us this afternoon, and we know that they know to jump in once we have a speaker who does attend in language. All right, now to those of you who attended this meeting in person, please line up on your right-hand side near the curtains to make your public comment. We ask that you adjust the microphone once you approach the podium and that you speak directly into the microphone so that the system can pick up your comments. We are setting the timer for 2 minutes. I apologize to you in advance if I interrupt your comments once the timer bell chimes. Can we please have the first person approach the podium to provide comment? Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, supervisors, staff members, city representatives, and city residents who are here. My name's Carolyn Kennedy. I live near Dolores Park. I chair my neighborhood association, Dolores Heights Improvement Club, and I advocate for more effective and compassionate solutions to homelessness with Rescue SF. I'm not here today to talk about my special issue or need. I'm here today to ask all of us collectively as city leaders and citizens to act differently, to listen more, to seek more common ground, to collaborate more, and to address the unprecedented problems confronting San Francisco. I grew up here, and the city that I see today is not the city that all of us know and love. The rampant open drug use and drug sales, the 350 people who've died from ODs so far this year and the others in past years who are someone's child, someone's parent, relative, or friend. Daily, thousands are living and dying on our streets. That's not what we want our city to be known for. And the criminals who brazenly commit car, garage, and residential burglaries in our neighborhoods, and the vandalisms and thefts that are crushing our small business owners and their workers. These are the big issues staring us in the face, and I know you hear about them every day from your constituents. I hear about them too from my neighbors on the corners in my area. And the overwhelming message that I hear is the city can't get anything done. People are so angry, frustrated, fearful, and cynical that They're literally turning to the ballot box. And I don't think that's the best way for us to effect meaningful change. So just as one community leader, to you as elected leaders, and to our city, other city leaders, I ask that we act with urgency. We seek common ground and common goals, assign accountability, and spend more time working together on these big issues. If you know me, you know that's not all I have to say about these issues, but I wanted to remind us as we come back from vacation and start back to work how important.
Thank you for your comments. Can we have the next speaker? Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is John Phillips. I'm here today at the request of the board of the Police Credit Union to follow up on the, important letter we sent on August 17th, 2022 to the Board of Supervisors regarding Resolution 317-22, which was sponsored by Supervisor Marr. Although each of you received a copy of that letter hand-delivered today, I was asked by the board to come down and make some comments. First, the extensive data summarized in the TPCU's letter confirms that contrary to what was represented by the Mid-Sunset Neighborhood Association, which was relied upon to develop the resolution, the former TPCU site and several communities or surrounding homes have been extensively tested and evaluated in close coordination with the DTSC. Unfortunately, these same inaccurate representations from the Mid-Sunset Neighborhood Association were incorporated into the resolution. The DTSC has credited the police credit union's extensive testing repeatedly, noting close collaboration with regulators and concluding that the TPCU is not the source of any contamination and that the very low levels of residual contamination do not pose a risk of harm to any neighbor or to anyone who might move into the affordable housing that will be constructed on the site. The data also proves that the parking lot across the street has been extensively tested. The second important point is that the resolution has triggered significant concerns about the pending process to approve the application to proceed with the sale of the parking lot across the street from the development community. The resolution's board is now linked to those efforts, and the TPCU is very concerned that the resolution will be cited as a reason for further delay. TPC needs final sign-off from the DTSC, and the process is now significant.
Speaker's time is concluded. Thank you, sir. If you have something in writing you'd like to submit, we'll happily hand it out for you to all 11 members.
Thank you. The letter was hand-delivered today to everyone.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Welcome to our next speaker.
Hello, my name is James McConkey. I am a District 5 member. I am a local PTA board member. I'm also just a local individual that's interested in alternative healing modalities. So some of you have been engaging with Decriminalized San Francisco, learning and educating yourselves revolving around the new and renaissance revolving around entheogenic plant medicines, fungi, and cacti. And here in San Francisco, we hold a torch of understanding of where psychedelics and entheogens came into society over 55 years ago. And so we've brought forward a progressive resolution to you, and we want to acknowledge all the engagement and all the help that and opportunity we've had to speak with you.
James, can you pull the microphone closer, please?
Certainly, and I'm going to just acknowledge a bunch of my collaborators, community members, and friends here locally that are going to be speaking behind me, revolving around the need for our local jurisdiction to decriminalize entheogens and plant medicines for alternative healing modalities. I think we're all aware of a lot of the social issues and mental health issues that exist here in our city, and this is an amazing opportunity for us to reignite and take the torch that was lit here 55 years ago. So I thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening. And it's really hot, and I appreciate you all for being here on this beautiful, beautiful summer day.
Thank you, James McConkey, for your comments. Let's hear from our next speaker, please.
Hi,
Hello, my name is Marianne. I am a college student living in the Bay Area, working hard to finish my degree and get into the workforce. I have come far, but I owe a lot of my progress to entheogens and psychedelics. The work I have done with certain natural medicines have helped me get through difficult personal circumstances and find motivation in my life and towards finishing my degree during the pandemic. Please decriminalize entheogens in San Francisco so that we can create a safer and healthier access for local citizens like me for safety, equity, and value. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Nico Summers. I am a San Francisco native, a small business owner, a fifth-generation herbalist, and a plant medicine practitioner. I am in support of decriminalizing entheogenic and sacred plants because it helps keep these practices from being erased in my own and many others' culture and ways of healing. Decriminalizing these plants would be the ethical choice in helping take the right step forward and allowing access to these medicines so our communities can heal as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Nico Summers, for your comments. Next speaker, please.
My name is Jacqueline Dueñez, and I support the decriminalization of entheogenic plants. Board. Thank you for taking the time to consider this resolution, as I was introduced to these plant medicines about 2 years ago. At the time, I had been dealing with severe PTSD, depression, anxiety, and dissociative disorder for over 2 years. As I am sure you are aware, mental health can be complicated. And when I realized I was dealing with something much greater than I sought help. Therapy helped me tremendously. I attended weekly therapy sessions and was on a wait list to see a psychiatrist of 6 months to a year, the wait list. I was trying my best, but sometimes your best just isn't enough. I was struggling. I was really struggling. After a year of initially reading about the healing potential of these plant medicines, I incorporated them into my life as a last resort for hope. 4 years ago, I was struggling to wrap my mind around this idea of a Tuesday, yet alone stand before you today, working as a legal secretary and studying for the law school entrance exam. I am not dismissive of the work I've done in therapy. Just as therapy can be seen as a tool for mental health, so can these plant medicines. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline Doyes. Let's hear from our next speaker, please.
I want to thank you all for bringing the resolution to recognize Chuseok Day to a vote, and we ask that you please pass the resolution.
Please pass the resolution.
Donald and I stood before you 3 years ago to ask you all to do the same, and we want to thank you all for passing it unanimously then. Donald is the reason why we are all here for this. Back in 2019, I brought this idea of doing this festival to the Korean Center because I wanted to expose my son to Korean culture, because I struggled to find a place for us to celebrate events like Chuseok, which is the equivalent of a Korean Thanksgiving. During this period, I discovered that the reason why it was hard was because the community was fractured. I also learned that there are many issues in the Korean community that I had not been aware of, such as extreme poverty and food insecurity with the Korean elderly, domestic violence issues, etc. But because of the language barrier, many in the Korean community were unaware of the free services and programs that are given by both federal and local governments. And so I worked with the Korean Center to make this more than just a festival. We made sure to have booths with Korean interpreters from nonprofits who offer services that the Korean community may not be aware of due to the language barrier. And with the passing of this resolution, I hope next year to turn this day into a vehicle by which we can educate the Korean community on how local and city governments work, have Korean interpreters come, bus in the elderly, bring kids and others in the Korean community, get them a tour of City Hall, work with legislative aides to have a civics lesson on how resolutions are created and brought to a vote, and have the Korean community come into this room and have them speak here at public comment as we're doing today, to show them that they too can have a voice in local government and that they can affect change. Passing this resolution is just the first step for much more than just the festival. It will become a way to bring the Korean community together and give them a voice. So we once again ask you all to please pass the resolution. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you for your comments this afternoon. All right, can we hear from our next speaker, please?
Hello, my name is Christina Sue. This is Addison Sue and Logan Sue. After witnessing the huge success of the Chuseok Festival 2019, recognizing the day for the Korean community would mean so much and help solidify our place in the Korean San Francisco community. K-culture is here to stay, from K-pop to K-music to K-drama to K-pop. It is just the beginning. Thank you for your time. And if you could please pass the resolution recognizing Korean Chuseok Day.
Please pass the resolution. Please pass the resolution.
Thank you so much for your time.
Anna, Logan, and Christina Sue, thank you for your comments this afternoon. Welcome.
My name is Christina Jun Bentel. This is my daughter,
Naomi.
and
Josie.
And we ask that you please pass the resolution to support Chuseok in the city of San Francisco. I am a second-generation Korean. My parents came here in their 20s, and they were part of the earlier group that came and immigrated to the city of San Francisco, lived on Gary Street. We've come a long way. The Korean Center and the Korean community as a whole has supported each other and really brought us through to the future. And it's come a long way since my parents first came here. We'd like to support the Korean Center for its contributions and to the city of San Francisco, to families and to the city. And then, girls, did you have something to say?
Please pass the resolution for Chuseok.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Naomi and Elsie and Christina June Bentel. We appreciate your comments. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Eunmin Kim, and this is my son, Isaac Jo. We want to ask you to please pass the resolution of Chuseok Day. I'm the first generation here. I went to college, United States, and then I settled down as a medical doctor working in Kaiser Permanente. And then it's been very heartbroken to see how Korean communities having hard time unifying and solidifying together. I think passing this resolution will be a big first step for Korean community, so it can be more solidified and unified, so we can be a better citizen in San Francisco and contributing better for the San Francisco. So please pass the resolution. Isaac, do you want to say?
Thank you, Ms. Kim, for your comments this afternoon. Welcome to the next speaker, or speakers.
Good afternoon. My name is Sewon Chung Barrera, and I am here to request your support of the resolution to recognize Korean Chuseok Day. I'm a Korean American resident of San Francisco's District 2 and a volunteer currently serving on the Korean Center Board of Directors and this year's Chuseok Planning Committee. My life completely changed when I was 9 years old. My family moved to the United States from Korea, not knowing any English. We left behind all that was familiar and recreated our home, our community, and beloved traditions like Chuseok holiday. And when the pandemic hit, it changed all of our lives. To add to that heartache, the pandemic also brought out increased violence against the Asian American community, people that look like me. During these difficult times, I was heartened to see the San Francisco community stand together and organizations like KCI step up to provide support and services to our elders and families with limited access to resources. And this same community organization has been working around the clock, many of us volunteers like myself, to organize a free public day-long event, the Chuseok Festival, happening this weekend, projected to bring thousands of people together safely outdoors in San Francisco's very own Presidio. As we emerge out of these fearful times, this year's resolution to officially recognize Chuseok Day is all the more meaningful. I hope to see many of you there this weekend as we joyfully celebrate Chuseok. Thank you.
Thank you, Sewon Chongbera, for your comments this afternoon. Welcome.
Hello, Board of Supervisors. My name is Lois Youngin Woo, and I am a high school student here in support of KCI's resolution proposing Chuseok to be considered the city's official celebration of a cultural day. In Korean, it's uncommon to hear someone address themselves as I. It's not my country, it's our country. Even if it's an only child speaking, it's not my mom, it's our mom. There's an emphasis of togetherness, us, in Korean. In the language, we say uri. This concept of us is not only seen in our language, but also in our interactions, lifestyle, and culture. This is what I believe to be the spirit of Chuseok, or Korean Thanksgiving. For all of us to come together and celebrate as one, as uri. The adopting of Chuseok Day resolution would be a huge step for the Korean community here as a whole, and especially for second-generation Koreans like me that have less of an opportunity to connect with Korean culture. Seeing that San Francisco and the United States itself is a country built up of immigrants and the children of, recognizing Chuseok is one step towards embracing all San Franciscans. The ability to celebrate different cultures is what makes this city truly unique. So why adopt Chuseok specifically? This resolution recognizing the celebration of Chuseok is not just recognizing the date September 10th or just celebrating Koreans. The adoption of this resolution would be the celebration of a community, inviting those freshly moved, second gen, or those who have been in America for generations. The adoption of this resolution would not just affect the Korean community, but is a celebration of our community, Uriye community, as a whole. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Lois. Lois Youngin Woo. Thank you. Welcome to our next speaker.
Hi, my name is Torin Barrera. I am the Executive Director of the Technology and Applied Composition Program at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music next door. I'm here to share my support of the resolution recognizing September 10th as Korean Chuseok Day and also honoring the Korean Center, Inc. for its contributions to the Korean Center, to the Korean American community here in San Francisco. I first became aware of the Korean Center in 2015 when I was in desperate need of learning some basic Korean to impress my in-laws and get them to approve the marriage or proposal of marriage to my now wife. They really came through, and after many years of marriage, we have celebrated Chuseok on a yearly basis, and the Korean Center was an incredible resource at the time and continues to be, throughout the Bay, one of the essential resources to not only teach Korean language, but also share the culture. Nowadays, I have many students and a community built around Korean culture, and I think they would all love to see this pass, not just as a way to celebrate Koreans and Korean Americans, but to share this important cultural heritage that makes our city great. Thank you. 감사합니다.
Thank you for your comments, Torin Barrera. Welcome to our next speaker.
Hi. My name is Juno Lee, a co-founder and general partner of a tech company based in San Francisco. I would like to ask you to pass a resolution of Chuseok Day. I clearly recall that it was 1995, first time I came to San Francisco to attend a cybersecurity conference. I fell in love with the charm that the San Francisco had to offer. I swore myself one day, I'm going to move to here. By living here just about 5 years now, I can summarize the charm as a cohesive communities with diverse cultural experience. Yes, there is a large population of Korean and other Asian communities in the Bay Area. Yes, as you have already heard, KCI has been relentlessly supporting the communities. These important points may already justify upcoming Chuseok Festival to be recognized as the city's official celebration of Cultural Day. However, I would like to emphasize the city's charm that I believe many people also share, a cohesive community with cultural diversity. Through this Chuseok Festival, we may share Korean food, showcase all kinds of Korean cultural experience that our communities could interact, and the festival goes far beyond that here in San Francisco. It is a celebration with diverse communities. It's a time and place where everyone is invited to celebrate, interact with each other, and feel our community's resiliency. That's the charm that this city has embraced and people here cherishes. Thank you for considering it as the city's official celebration day of the Cultural Day. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, John Lo Lee. Welcome to our next speaker.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Carlos Plazola. I'm co-founder of an organization called Decriminalize Nature, chair of the national board. I want to give gratitude to Supervisors Preston and Ronan for introducing Resolution 25 to decriminalize our ancestral sacred plant medicines. I'm the child of immigrants to the United States from Mexico. My father was a small farmer in Jalisco, very rural Jalisco, an indigenous farmer, and my earliest memories are of being in the fields with him farming. And after my parents divorced, my mother raised us alone in San Jose, California, and it was very turbulent times for a single mother raising children in a tough neighborhood. And it wasn't until I was 48 years old that I came across entheogens, which helped me heal some of the trauma that I experienced as a young man. I was gardening at the age of 12. I got my master's in environmental science, a bachelor's in biology. Nature has always been very, very dear to me, my healing path, but these entheogens opened me up to my ancestral path. Today, if I was to cultivate our ancestral plant medicine, which is peyote, I could face 3 years in prison in California. So I'm grateful for all of you taking this on today and showing the courage to allow me to grow my own ancestral plants without fear of imprisonment. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos Lasola, for your comments. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, San Francisco Supervisors. Thank you for hearing this important issue today related to entheogenic plants and fungi practices. And gratitude to Supervisor Preston and Ronan for bringing on this important issue and for your courageous leadership. My name is Dr. Larry Norris. I am the co-founder of Decriminalize Nature National with Carlos, and also co-founder of a group called Entheogenic Research Integration Education, which provides education and integration support to individuals related to entheogens. We are in unusual times right now with increases in mental health issues, substance use issues, and general needs for personal and spiritual growth over the last few years. Wouldn't it be incredible if there was something that could help support these issues? Well, there is. Entheogenic plants and fungi are being researched for a multitude of conditions, and outside of the positive emerging scientific research, we have countless testimonies worldwide of people with significant life transformation after these experiences, as we heard earlier today already. Some even say that they wouldn't be here today without the transformation that they went through, and they're now living healthy and productive lives that was not possible before their entheogenic experiences. How can we continue criminalizing folks for seeking alternative modes of healing and growth? This is based upon bad policy from another era, and we have the opportunity to finally change that. The support from the community is not just here in San Francisco, but worldwide. Across the U.S., people are fighting to take back their access to entheogenic plants and fungi before pharmaceutical or venture capital swallows it up. We advocate for self-agency around one's own healing process and decriminalizing the use and possession along with the home-grow and community-based practice. So those who are interested will always have access to these healing sacred plants and fungi, including ones from their ancestral lineages. We are excited to pass this in San Francisco and build a coalition with Oakland, the first city to decriminalize nature in 2019. As San Francisco passes today, they will be the 15th city to declare with their citizens that these punitive laws around criminalizing ancient sacred plants and fungi have failed. San Francisco will be the largest city to pass policy related to entheogens and join Oakland, Santa Cruz, Ann Arbor, Washtenaw County, Somerville, Cambridge, and Northampton, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C. with 76% voter approval, Seattle, Washington, Arcata, Grand Rapids, and others. It's time for San Francisco to shine and take place on the right side of history and fight for their citizens to ensure entheogenic plants and fungi are accessible to anyone who wishes to partake without corporate influence. Thank you for your time and consideration, and please vote yes on supporting entheogenic plant and fungi practices.
Thank you, Dr. Norris, for your comments this afternoon. Are there any other speakers in the room who'd like to address the board? All right, seeing no one jump up, we're going to go to the remote system. We have Mr. Joe Atkins from the clerk's office checking to see if we have any remote attendees. All right, hello, caller.
Hello. Yes, hi, thank you. My name is Brenda Barrows, and first I'd like to thank Dr. Supervisor Melgar for recognizing the Alioto family, and I hope everybody supports Joe Alioto Berenice for DA. But the reason that I'm calling is that we have been talking to the board over and over and over again about harassment and bullying that happens in the workplace for city employees. And I just want to let you guys know that one of the people that I had been trying to help gay white male who had been harassed to the point to where he had an initial stroke. He came back to work, and his managers doubled down on him when he came back, and he just died Saturday. So there are real consequences to all this stuff happening in the workplace. And I hope that you guys really do oversight on the EEO, because he's complained to different people and nothing has happened. I know other people in food service, same thing. So I really hope that you guys pay attention to this and do some oversight on this and find out what this Department of Equity is doing as far as the workplace goes. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Brenda Barros, for your comments this afternoon. All right, Mr. Atkins, do we have another caller in the queue, please?
Hello, my name is Jennifer Kirk, and I'm a resident from District 7. I'm calling on behalf of Resolution 26 to support recognizing Korean Chuseok Day as this September 10th, 2002. I've been really lucky to have been volunteering with the Chuseok Festival and with KCI since the inaugural year of the Chuseok Festival in 2019. For the last 4 years, I'm also a digital advisor for KCI, and can really attest that it is an important part of the community, as is the festival. It's a really wonderful opportunity for everyone to get together after 2 difficult years of the pandemic, with all of the ongoing Asian hate crime that has been attacking not only our community but across the country. It's really now an important time to show that we are stronger together, and I really hope that the entire Board of Supervisors supports this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer Kirk, for your comments this afternoon. All right, Mr. Atkins, let's hear from our next caller, please.
Hello, my name is Barry Alexander from District 8, and I'm here to support entheogenic plant practices. Compassion has always been a part of the heart of San Francisco, championed by the likes of Dennis Perone and Brownie Mary. The compassionate use of cannabis was the genesis of the movement to legalize this plant across the nation. During the 1960s, Dr. David Smith and the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic provided compassionate harm and risk reduction to the public. San Francisco also has developed a rich and deep presence regarding psychedelic research, educational, and professional certification. UCSF has a psychedelic division, and San Francisco is home to the California Institute of Integral Studies and their Center for Psychedelic Therapies and Research. The research and certification that happens here is enabling more effective treatments for mental health. Modern research and traditional knowledge agree entheogenic medicines are effective for treating the human condition. We need compassionate and accessible mental health care in San Francisco. Decriminalizing entheogenic medicines is an essential first step in meeting the need for more psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy practitioners, more traditional medicine cultivators, keepers, and healers. To foster access for all those in need of the healing benefit of these medicines, as I have received from these medicines, the compassionate act to take today by the Board of Supervisors is to pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry Alexander, for your comments this afternoon. Mr. Atkins, we have another caller in the queue, please. Welcome, caller.
Good afternoon. My name is Bomi, and I'm a Korean immigrant living in District 5. Growing up in Seoul, I didn't really celebrate Chuseok in any traditional way, but I could always rely on my family to get together and simply enjoy a meal with one another and catch up on everyone's lives. That might not sound all that festive, but every year it felt special just to be able to step away from the daily grind and simply connect with the family members that we didn't get to see very often. I think a holiday like this is a good reminder to everyone who lives in San Francisco that every once in a while we all need an occasion to remind us that we can set aside our struggles and connect with those we love. Thank you all for considering the resolution to recognize September 10th as Korean Chuseok Day.
Thank you, Bomi, for your comments this afternoon. Before the next caller, I'll just say there are 7 Callers who are listening, and there are 2 callers ready to make their comment in the queue. If you're one of the 7, you should press *3 now if you intend to make comment this afternoon. Otherwise, we might take these last 2 callers to the end. Okay. Mr. Atkins, let's hear from our next caller, please.
Hello, Board of Supervisors. I'm here to support the resolution to recognize September 10th as Chuseok Festival Day, and thank you for allowing me to speak over the phone. My name is Karina Park. I'm the current chair of the Korean Center Board of Directors. First of all, thank you so much for recognizing the Chuseok Festival for the past 3 years. Since then, we have seen a momentum and surge among not just Korean-speaking, but English-speaking Koreans participating and engaging in the community like I have never seen before in my 40 years in the United States. While this is a single day, it represents a collaboration of all types of Koreans to celebrate our culture and identity. For people like me who never participated in the Korean community before, for the majority of their lives, to recently immigrated to 2nd and 3rd generations, Chuseok helps us unite and provide support to and for each other. And it's an occasion to celebrate who we are and where we come from. As you know, since the 70s, the Korean Center has played a critical role in advocating and being the voice of Koreans. We continue to serve that as that hub today, now with changing demographics and needs that have also evolved, to serve as a cultural hub where 2nd and 3rd generations can explore and learn about their history and create spaces to bridge gaps that exist in many facets in our community. We do this by bringing activities like Chuseok Festival, and we also collaborate with other organizations, people, and government to serve the needs of the Korean Americans of today. Aside from being the current chair, my husband and I started a mental health clinic called Mind Therapy Clinic to tackle one of the most pressing problems of today, as you know, mental illness. I cannot stress enough the importance of building community and support system for having a healthy mind. By recognizing the Chuseok Festival and the Korean Center that brings this community together, you are helping and planting the seeds for growing mental resilience. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your comments this afternoon, Karina Park. All right, Mr. Atkins, do we have another caller in the queue, please? Welcome, caller.
Good afternoon, board. Hi, hello. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, President Walton and Board of Supervisors. My name is Cheryl Thornton, and I'm a city worker. And happy Labor Day, or happy belated Labor Day. I just want to say that we need equity in the workplace. As you know, or if you don't know, the CAT Bonds Committee, they settle lawsuits. And to the tune of $90.7 million of the taxpayers' money has gone to settling lawsuits for prohibited personnel practices. And my career has spanned over 30 years with the City and County Health Department, and I can tell you that I have witnessed over and over and over again directors and department heads ignoring the policy and procedures for the city and county and harming workers. But even worse, they're discriminating, and they're discriminating against Black workers the most. So not to say that other people are not discriminated against. So I know that a lot of these lawsuits, when they're settled, they come to the Board of Supervisors for you guys to settle. And I can tell you that I have worked in the city for 30 years and given my service, and what I've witnessed is it's got to stop. So I know that the Board of Supervisors, the seats change, the people change from every 4 years or every 4 years. So, but in the interim, I think you guys need to do something about all of this, because $90.7 million going in lawyers' fees and harming people and harming their families, it's not acceptable. So thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl Thornton, for your comments this afternoon. Mr. Atkins, is there another caller in the queue, please?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm here to talk about and to support the decriminalization of plant-based medicines. My name is Jenny Stepanian. I am a criminal defense attorney and a San Francisco local. I have many clients that suffer from addiction, and it led me to a search to see if psychedelic microdosing could actually work to break the cycle of addiction. And my search led me to read many published studies by acclaimed universities, and they all support that microdosing can actually break the cycle of addiction. And my search also led me to my good friend, Dr. David Smith, who started the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic in the 60s in the Haight. And he recently started a new psychedelic center in the Haight-Ashbury called the Haight-Ashbury Psychedelic Center on Clayton Street. He cannot be here tonight to speak, but he wanted me to say a couple words. He is an addiction specialist, and he too believes that psychedelics are the key to breaking addiction. And he started the center and has people come in and take field notes and testimonials of how psychedelics have changed their lives. And one story he told me was a young man came into the center recently who was a heroin addict, and then he was taking methadone to get off heroin, but he couldn't break the cycle of methadone, which is a very intense pharmaceutical that blocks receptors so people don't do heroin. But he was locked in the pharmaceutical cycle, and he wanted to get out of it. He started microdosing psychedelics, was able to do the 12 steps, successfully went through the 12 steps, and is now clean, sober, drug-free, no more heroin, no more methadone, just doesn't need to microdose anymore, 12 steps done. And this is just one example. And if we can do this to just a fraction of the population of San Francisco, which is suffering from drug addiction, we will be moving mountains and making real progress. And I think we can all believe and agree that this town is suffering, but I believe that we need to think outside the box.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Really take advantage.
Okay. Thank you, Jenny Stepanian, for your comments. We apologize for interrupting. We are setting the timer for 2 minutes this afternoon. Do we have another caller in the queue, please?
Madam Clerk, there are no further callers in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Thank you for your great work. Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you so much to the public for calling in and showing up in the chamber. Seeing no more public comment is now closed. Madam Clerk, please call before adoption without committee reference agenda.
Yes, items 24 through 28 were introduced for adoption without reference to committee. A unanimous vote is required for resolutions on first reading today. Alternatively, a member may require a resolution on first reading to go to committee.
Thank you. Colleagues, anyone like to sever any items?
See, Preston is on the roster, Mr. President.
Supervisor Preston.
Thank you, President Walton. I just wanted to be added as a co-sponsor to item 26, the Chuseok Day.
Thank you, Supervisor Preston. Supervisor Stephanie.
I'd like to sever item 26, please.
Thank you. Supervisor Ronan.
And I would like to be added as a co-sponsor to item 26.
Thank you. Supervisor Marr.
I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor to item 26. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Melgar.
Me as well. Thank you. 26.
Thank you, Supervisor Melgar. Supervisor Safai.
Co-sponsored item number 26 as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Safai. Supervisor Dorsey.
And I'd like to be added as well.
Thank you, Supervisor Dorsey. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on items 24, 25, 27, and 28.
On items 24, 25, 27, and 28, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey. Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mandelman. Mandelman, aye. Supervisor Marr. Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar. Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin. Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston.
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan. Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai. Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie? Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton?
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Thank you. Without objection, these resolutions are adopted and motions are approved unanimously. Madam Clerk, please call item number 26.
Item 26 is a resolution to recognize September 10th, 2022 as Korean Chuseok Day and honoring the Korean Center, Inc. for its contributions to the Korean American community in the city and county of San Francisco.
Thank you so much. Supervisor Stephanie.
Thank you, President Walton. I want to thank all my colleagues for co-sponsoring this resolution. I know it means a lot to KCI and to the Korean community. And I just have to say, Chuseok Day is such a fun day. It's actually like a Korean Thanksgiving, and we are very proud to have KCI in District 2 and look forward to celebrating with everyone at the Presidio this weekend. And I want to thank those who came out today for public comment, especially the adorable children. I think that's what did it for my colleagues, even though they would have sponsored probably anyway. But yeah, it's just such an honor to be able to support Chuseok Day. We've been doing this since 2019. It's one of the most important and widely celebrated holidays in Korean culture. And honoring it today is a fitting tribute to our Korean American community, which has contributed immeasurably to the history and culture of San Francisco. In its emphasis on celebrating family and community, Chuseok Day embodies the values all of us in San Francisco hold dear. No organization has done more to keep the traditions of Chuseok Day thriving than the Korean Center, which is in District 2, as I mentioned, but provides tremendous resources to the entire city and the entire Bay Area. The Korean Center has provided educational, cultural, and social service programming for over 45 years. While they have been an invaluable support to everyone in our city, I want to call out their work with underserved immigrant communities in particular. The Korean Center provides critical support services and language access programming for youth and seniors. And in this time when immigrants are under attack all across this country, when they're slandered by people at the highest levels of government, I'm proud to take this opportunity to honor Chuseok Day and the Korean Center as just one example of the many ways immigrant communities have contributed immeasurably to San Francisco and to the United States. Thanks to the Korean American community and to the Korean Center for their decades of support, and best wishes to you all during Chuseok Day. And I want to say again, the first in-person Chuseok celebration since 2019 will take place this Saturday in the main parade lawn at the Presidio, and I want to encourage everyone to attend. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Supervisor Stephanie. Thank you, colleagues. And again, thank you to everyone who came out to advocate today and for all the work to get us to this point. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll for item number 26?
On item 26, Supervisor Chan. Chan, aye. Supervisor Dorsey? Dorsey, aye. Supervisor Mendelman? Mendelman, aye. Supervisor Marr?
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Melgar?
Aye.
Melgar, aye. Supervisor Peskin? Peskin, aye. Supervisor Preston?
Aye.
Preston, aye. Supervisor Ronan? Ronan, aye. Supervisor Safai? Safai, aye. Supervisor Stephanie? Stephanie, aye. And Supervisor Walton?
Aye.
Walton, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Thank you. Without objection, this resolution is adopted unanimously. Madam Clerk, do we have any imperative agenda items?
I have none to report, Mr. President.
Would you please present the in memoriams?
Yes, today's meeting will be adjourned in memory of the following beloved individuals. On behalf of Supervisor Chan and Supervisor Marr, for the late Daniel Ehrman. On behalf of Supervisor Mandelman, for the late Mary Jane Lloyd. Israel Nieves Rivera. And Commissioner Pat Norman.
Last thing will be a quote.
Can you please mute that for us? Thank you. On behalf of Supervisor Melgar and Supervisor Stephanie, for the late Lawrence Alioto Sr. On behalf of Supervisor Peskin, for the late Mr. Al Sarasevic, thank you. Apologies. Mr. Al Sarasevic, Mr. Thomas Landers, Mr. Stephen Reynolds, Ruth Gottstein, and Patricia Brosnan Hayes. On behalf of Supervisor Stephanie, for the late Monsignor John Sandersfield, Miss Marilyn Loden, and for Mr. Ernest Jones Sr., a former city employee. And on behalf of the entire Board of Supervisors, at the presentation of President Walton. For a member of the Ventura County Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Carmen Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any further business?
That concludes our business for today.
The cause of homelessness is lack of housing. We are adjourned.